I'm haunted by fear and hunger to the core. Fear and Hunger is not your friendly press X to win type of game. It's a mysterious maze where every clue is hidden in the dark, waiting for you to piece together a nightmare puzzle. After over a year of obsessing, exploring, rage quitting, and crawling back, I've finally stitched the fragments into something that actually makes sense. So let's roll it back to the prequel era. In the grim, cursed world of Fear and Hunger, everything traces back to the old gods. Long ago from the void itself came titans of divine chaos. Gro-Goroth, the god of destruction, Sylvian, goddess of life, and Venushka, guardian of nature, Rare, the trickster moon god, and finally the enigmatic god of the depths, forever lurking below. Each one left their fingerprints on the world, balancing life and death, creation and ruin, light and darkness. But of course, humans being humans, we messed it all up. We took divine gifts, got greedy, and made the gods rage quit humanity altogether. They dipped out to Mahabra, their sacred city outside space and time. And yet, even they couldn't stay forever because, in the end, even gods fade back into the void. Even after the old gods dipped out, their god bodies and legacies were still lying around like divine souvenirs, bridges between mortals and powers far beyond human pay grade. About Rare, that glowing moon up there, always side-eyeing us? Sylvian's soul? A shining blue bridge at the edge of the void. Basically the divine version of life support. Gro-Goroth's corpse? Rumor has it, hidden deep inside the god of the depths herself, like some cosmic Russian nesting doll of terror. But their greatest legacy? Mahabra, the divine city. Anyone who sits on its ascension throne can become a new god, gaining power beyond comprehension. Sounds great, right? Except when you die, your soul gets locked inside Mahabra forever. Congrats, you're now part of the furniture. Those who fail to keep their bodies alive, they're doomed to shuffle around the hall of Ascended forever, eternal prisoners of their own ambition. The gods giveth, the gods taketh away. There was one weird exception, Nasra, the immortal head. His undying body meant his soul couldn't be trapped. Not all old gods left, though. Venushka, guardian of nature, stayed behind, but his relationship with humans has become worse. Ironically, one of humanity's own creations, born from Venushka's concept and Sylvian's flesh, turned on him and killed him without remorse. Still, his essence lingers in every gust of wind, every rustling forest, until nature itself is gone. Meanwhile, the god of the depths continued chilling in the abyss. Silent but ominous, a reminder of the void's lurking hunger. When the gods bailed, humanity went full chaos mode. No divine babysitters anymore, just kingdoms tearing each other apart. Oldegard, Rondon, it was blood, politics, and backstabbing galore. Out of that mess rose a new savior, Almor. He brought law, morality, and order, dragging humankind out of its emo phase. For once, peace flourished. When his mission ended, Almor descended into the deepest layer of Rondon's dungeon, resting at the edge of Mahabra. But even in death, his divine essence lived on, still answering prayers in strange, mysterious ways. Now here's where it gets crazy. Before his ascension, Almor apparently dumped his subconscious hatred into a pit of sulfur. From that stew of rage, a new god was born, the Sulfur God. Basically, Almor's angsty evil twin. Though less famous, the Sulfur God had his own fan club, the Sulfur Cult, led by none other than Perkele. Once loyal to Rare, Perkele switched sides when Rare ghosted humanity. Now he hunts for souls to feed the Sulfur God, hoping to summon him back into the world. And the problem? When Almor rested in the dungeon, the Sulfur God lost his anchor to the mortal world. That's why Perkele became his hype man, plotting the god's grand comeback tour. And if that ever happens, say goodbye to hope, because the Sulfur God's idea of fun is turning the entire world into one giant misery fest. Almor is the wholesome dad energy, hope, morality, law, guiding humanity toward peace and prosperity. Meanwhile, the Sulfur God is basically Hell's brand ambassador, all about eternal suffering and vibes from the pit. And that's the backdrop we need before diving into the actual Fear and Hunger plot. The game kicks off in 1590, but the real drama started a few decades earlier. Back in 1577, in the icy kingdom of Oldegard, people were forged by brutal winters into absolute tanks of warriors. Their advanced ships let them sail west and discover Vinland. A group of explorers, including one of the main characters, Ragnvaldr, set sail westward chasing resources their frosty homeland lacked. In Vinland, they stumbled on ancient divine influence everywhere, wild and dangerous. Most of them died, but the survivors dragged back a powerful relic, the Cube of the Depths. That single discovery lit the fuse for everything that followed. Meanwhile, in the ambitious kingdom of Rondon, expansion was the hobby of the royals. Within its borders stood a special dungeon, a place so cursed by divine power that simply entering it drained body and soul. This was the infamous Dungeon of Fear and Hunger, used as a prison for especially dangerous folks. Out of this chaos rose a legendary mercenary guild, the Knights of the Midnight Sun, led by the charismatic Captain Lagarde. He dreamed of uniting the land in peace, adored by commoners and soldiers alike, but his influence made Rondon's royalty very, very nervous. Then came the twist. Lagarde got a little too deep into ancient texts and divine whispers. In his dreams, he was approached by the Endless One, who promised him glory if he could seize the Cube of the Depths. Lagarde went all in attack on Oldegard, massacred villages, and successfully stole the cube. The Kingdom of Rondon grasped that pretext as its mandate for action. They crushed the Knights of the Midnight Sun, executed most, and threw Lagarde into the Dungeon of Fear and Hunger, awaiting execution. The cube, of course, was confiscated, and that's where our playable heroes step in. Kahara, the outlaw, Darsh the knight, Enki the dark priest, and later Ragnvaldr the outlander. Their fates all collide in that cursed dungeon. Ragnvaldr in the dungeon finds Lagarde dead. He switches goals, hunt down the cube instead. Along the way, he slaughters divine beasts, befriends the mutant wolf Moonless, and eventually steps through the gates of Mahabharata, the divine city. There, he takes down the remaining new gods. Valtile, Enlightenment, Francois, Domination, and Shambara, Torment, like he's speedrunning the apocalypse. Fueled by nothing but rage and pure hate energy, Ragnvaldr didn't need the Ascension Throne to become a god. He just went full berserker mode, wiped out divine beings left and right, and walked away as the god of ultra-violence, the patron saint of punching things really hard. But his story didn't end there. Legends say he wandered the continents, hunting down demons from the dark, protecting the innocent, and leaving behind a legacy, an entire bloodline of demon hunters. Next up, Enki, the dark priest simp for all Mare. He entered the dungeon right after Ragnvaldr left. It's meaning most of the nasty monsters were already gone, and the gates to Mahabharata were wide open. Down there, he met Nosramus, a legendary scholar squatting in the dungeon. The two nerded out over forbidden knowledge, and Enki walked away with a gift, the Spirit Anchor, basically an anti-divine cheat code. When Enki reached the Ascension Throne, he had the chance to become a new god, but thanks to Nosramus' wisdom, he said, "No, that's a trap." Instead, he dedicated himself to knowledge, moving into the great library of Mahabharata, built by the new god Beetle. There he spent centuries studying, discovered the secret to immortality, and eventually wrote one of the infamous Skin Bibles, a grim holy book giving humanity the lowdown on divine forces. And finally, Diars, the Knight. She only came to the dungeon with one mission: save her commander Lagarde, the man she devoted her entire life to. But things went downhill fast. Kahara rescued her from a cult ambush, they teamed up, but when they finally reached Lagarde's cell, he was already dead, throat slit. Heartbroken, Dark scoured the dungeon for a way to bring him back. She stumbled on scraps of a forbidden blood ritual, pieced it together, and tried to resurrect her fallen commander. Bad idea. Instead of Lagarde, she summoned a grotesque blood golem, a skinned, terrifying husk that called itself divine. Yeah, not the reunion she was hoping for. As for Kahara, his path led him to the spires of Mahabharata, where he dreamed of the Endless One. The god entrusted him with a sacred duty, to guide the girl, his daughter, into the very heart of darkness, buried within the colossal body of the god of the depths. Kahara, ever noble despite his past, fulfilled this task. Through his guidance, the girl ascended, becoming the third new god, the embodiment of fear and hunger itself. But this is only the beginning. The tale does not end here, it continues, darker and more twisted within the next chapter. Fear and Hunger 2, Termina. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to watch the next video.